Thank you for tuning into my channel. It's the last block in the beginner sampler series, and we're going to be making the sunrise block. So if you want to see how to put this block together, please stay tuned. So it's the last block for our beginner sampler quilt along. I am really happy to be at this point in the process, but a little sad because I'm only going to make the 9 blocks for this quilt. I do look forward, however, to exploring this book a little bit more to see what else I can come up with or what other ideas I can get from this book as far as making other sampler quilts or perhaps doing some one block wonders to just get some inspiration. Just as a reminder, we're using the Block a Day book by Lucinda Ganderton to get our inspiration. It has 365 quilt squares that you can choose from to make your own special creations. I actually got this book as a gift, so I know that there are people out there looking for it. I can't help with that, unfortunately, because I did receive it as a gift. I was very fortunate to get this from one of my students. So we are going to look at the last block here. It's actually on the cover right here at the bottom, and I actually was looking for the block inside the book and couldn't find it, but I had some help from my Cameron who was able to find the block for me. Okay, so I'm going to open the book here and I'll show it to you. They call it Sunrise, and it's a variation on the log cabin, and this particular variation. Here's the block, and in order to make it, I'm going to start with a center square and then just cut some strips for the outer parts. One thing about this block that's challenging is that it can test your 1/4 inch seam. So if you're not sure if your 1/4 inch seam is perfect, then I'm going to show you the way I'm going to do it, and that way I don't have to worry about a perfect 1/4 inch seam. Instead of cutting exact rectangles, I'm just going to cut close rectangles and then square up the block each time. Okay, so let's talk about our fabrics here. Since our finished block is going to be 16.5 inches, that's what I'm aiming for, then mostly my outer strips are going to be 2.5 inches. And I've pulled from my scraps, and there are already some strips that are about 2.5 inches. So this is a 2.5 inch strip. This is a 2.5 inch strip. And so I'm just going to leave these as is. I don't have to cut them for the block. I am going to have to cut some of this one. I'm going to cut this down to a 2.5, and then I have these little pieces that are 2.5, but I'm going to keep the rectangle the right size because it's tall enough. I just have to cut it down to the 2.5, and then I have 2 other blues that I'm going to cut 2.5 inch strips for. This block uses 7 fabrics, so it can use up a pretty good bit of scraps. To start the cutting, I'm going to cut my center square, and for this block it's going to be a 4.5 inch square. I'm going to stand up so that you can see it, or so that it'll be easier for me to cut. Okay, so I'm using my shape cut ruler, and I'm just going to make 2 cuts. The first cut to square this off, and then I'm going to make another cut at 4.5 inches. Okay, and then to get my square, I'll move that out of the way. I'm just going to do the same thing here. No, it's broken. I get to get a new shape cut ruler. Yay, me. All right, and so again, I'm just lining up here at the bottom, and I'm going to make 2 cuts, one to square off the end, and then one to get that 4.5 inches. Okay. See, look, my ruler's broken. It's okay, I can still use it for today, but I will get a new one. All right, so there's my 4.5 inch square. My little rectangles are already 4.5 inches here. These are going to be the very first ones that I stitch on. Okay, and so I'm just going to cut these down to 2.5, or they're already 4.5 inches tall, so I'm just cutting down to get my 2.5. Oh, it's close, it's close. All right, so rest of the strips, I'm not really, I'm not going to measure them too closely. I really just want to get a semi-close measurement. I want them to be longer than they need to be. So for my yellow, I'm just going to kind of get it close. I hope that this is 2.5 all the way down. So I'm going to work towards a maybe 7-inch strip for each one of these. I'm going to put it all the way at the end. So 7 inches. And so these are going to be, once you see how this goes together, hopefully it'll be easy and accessible for you. As I said before, this is a log cabin style block. So I'll talk more about what that means in a little bit. Alright, and then the next one is going to be a blue strip. And so I think I'm going to just leave these as is. And maybe I'll just cut it in half or something. Because it doesn't have to be exact, not right now. So I'm not going to stress too much if it's not exact. Okay, just get a 2.5-inch strip. There's that 2.5-inch strip. And then here's the next one, probably. And same here, I'm just going to leave it as is. This is from a fat quarter. So I hope that I have enough to do what I need to do. Okay. And then 2.5. I'm a little nervous about this one because I don't think it should be the same size as that one. We'll see. We shall see. And then this strip, it's already 2.5 inches. And then my dark blue here, I'm just going to cut. This is a width of fabric strip, so I'm just going to cut the width of fabric at the 2 inches. Okay, and as you can see, the cutting did not take long. I'm going to cut this strip, and then I'll meet you at the sewing machine so that we can see how we put this together. So let me get this cut, and then we'll head on over. Let's see. Okay. And here, and here. Alright, let's go to the sewing machine. It's time to lay out this block. I ended up having to do a little bit more cutting. This piece that I cut was too short. Too short. So I had to cut some more pieces. So let me show you how to lay out this block. As I said before, it is a log cabin variation. Typically, when you make a log cabin, you sew around 2 sides and then the other 2 sides. But this one you sew on opposite sides. So let me show you how we lay it out. We're going to start with our center square. Okay, and again for this block, it's 4.5 by 4.5. And then we're going to add 2 side pieces here. And these, because they just happen to already be 4.5, they are, they're going to go next. The other pieces I've cut larger. So here's my yellow, or my dark, or tan, or whatever. Okay. And so you do the 2 sides and then top and bottom. Then we're going to go and do 2 more sides. Again, this is, it's cut larger, so don't worry about it being able to fit. You can cut them to an exact size if you want to test your 1/4-inch seam, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stitch them on, and then I'll square up the block. I'll cut each one down. So here's the top and bottom, and then the last 2 sides here. And then top and bottom. Okay. And again, these are overcut, so hopefully my 1/4-inch will work. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to move these out of the way a little bit. And with this one, It's a great opportunity to chain piece if you have more than one block, but since I'm just making the one block, I'm not going to chain piece it here. All right, so we're going to start with putting the pieces on either side. And this would also be good for a leader ender, but I'm going to show you hopefully that you don't absolutely have to have it to start with. And actually for this block, I'm going to do something different from what I normally do. I'm going to go to the iron, I think, after each round. I think I'm going to do that. I haven't done that for any of the other blocks. I've just done finger pressing. So I think for this one I am going to do the iron. Okay, so we're going to cut this piece off. I think I am going to finger press it though, just because I'm used to doing that. So I finger press it here. And then we're going to add the other piece on the other side. It doesn't matter whether you have the white on top or the color on top. Well, I don't think it matters. I prefer to put the piece that I'm adding on the top. Okay. Alright, and so now I'm going to finger press this, go to the iron, give it a quick press, and then add our next round, or our next two sides. So I'm finger pressing it here. Now I'm going to step over to the iron and then give it just a quick top press here. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary to do this, but that's just what I'm choosing to do. Alright, now I'm going to take it back to the center, and I'm going to add the piece on the top and on the bottom. Alright, just as a reminder, I know I've said this a lot, but these pieces are bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go as close to, I'm not going to start right on the, right where the pieces meet. I'm going to start a little bit ahead, and I'm just going to line it up and stitch down. Okay. And I'm pressing the seams out towards the, I'm pressing all of the seams away from the square. And I'll show you that when I'm all done with it. And then let's go to the next one. I'll go ahead and finger press this one right quick. I hope it doesn't warp too much. I don't know if it's actually going to warp. I'm going to try to keep it trimmed enough, so hopefully it doesn't. I don't know if it would have been worth my while to just cut these rectangles exactly to size. We shall see. All right, now I'm going to do the next one. I need my ruler. I didn't grab it. So here we go. And I'm just lining it up as I go. This part is going to be more challenging the further along we get, because the strips are going to be longer. So if you choose to pin, you absolutely can. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to finger press, go to the iron, and then I'm going to see if I can cut this down. Let's see, I wonder where my ruler is. Alright, now to the ironing board to give it a press. Okay. And really, if it's not perfect, I'm okay with that. To me, it doesn't have to be super perfect. I will do the best I can, and then we'll just see what happens after that. So I'm going to scoop these pieces out of the way. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stack them I think these would be my last two. Okay. So, and then here. Okay. I'm going to stack these up. That way I can, wrong. That way I can cut without worrying about cutting some of the other fabric. And I just stack them in the order that I'm going to be stitching them on. Okay, so let me grab a ruler. This is a giant ruler, but it'll do the trick. I want something that's big enough to cover the whole thing. And now to make sure that I'm cutting evenly, I'm lining up each of the seam lines with an actual line on the ruler. Uh-oh, where's my rotary cutter? Let me grab my rotary cutter. I'll be right back. Okay. So I'm just lined up one line on the ruler with the seam lines, and I'm just cutting these little tips off. Okay, and then I'll flip it over and do the same thing. If you're right-handed, of course, you'll cut on the right edge. I'm a lefty, so I'm cutting off of the left edge. All right, here we go. Let's see. And again, just lining it up with the edge of the, with one of the seam lines. That one kind of got off a little bit. Okay. So, that's what we have so far. Next, we're going to add the two more side pieces here. One here and one here. Okay, and then the top and bottom. I'm going to go ahead and do these off cam. Well, actually, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'll speed this part of the video up so that you can see it, and then I'll show you each round. So we'll do sides, then top and bottom, and then I'll stop. And again, with the last two. So I'm going to speed up the camera starting here. Have these two rounds done. I'm going to give each of these ends a little snip. And again, I'm lining up the seam line along with the lines on the ruler. And what's cool is I think that my 1/4 inch seam is pretty good because these seams are lining up nicely. But I'm glad that I didn't try to test it, because as soon as I would have, something crazy would have happened and they wouldn't line up. So I think this is a good way to try this block, to overcut your pieces just a little bit so that you have a little extra, a little breathing room. Okay, so cutting the other two sides here. Uh-oh. My ruler slid, so I'm just going to make sure that it doesn't slide. Okay, and then the top. All right, and now we have two more rounds. I'll speed up the camera for the last two sides, and then we'll see this block all finished. Speeding up the camera again, starting now. Here is the sunrise block. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I love all the colors, all the scraps, everything that has gone into making this block. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the board with all of our other blocks. And here it is. Now that all of our blocks are done, it's just a matter of putting everything together. So let me go over each block first of all, just as a reminder. 4-patch, 9-patch, checker square, keyboard, fields of green, Roman tees, counterchange block, woven cross, and sunrise block. So I will get ready to put this together. Of course, I'll do tutorials about each step as we continue this process. If you have any questions about what you've seen, leave them in the comments below. Please thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out all of the tutorials for these blocks in this series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!